Now, NASA is also getting ready to test deflecting an asteroid. Why is that?
So this is an exciting mission called DART, the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. This is essentially, can we deflect an asteroid if we need to? Now, the asteroid here, Didymos, poses no danger. So there's two, Didymos and Dimorphos. There's no harm, there's no danger in either of them. The goal here is, can we nudge one of them enough so that if we did have a hazardous asteroid, again, we don't have one that we're worried about, if we did have one, could we nudge it enough so that it wouldn't hit the Earth? And this is the name of the game here. So this is all going to unfold for us in just a few days' time. They're lining up for it. It will happen about 9:17 a.m. Australian Eastern Time on Tuesday. It will take a bit of time to obviously get the images downloaded back and then monitor how much the impact is. So telescopes on the ground will be monitoring how much we've changed that orbit, and therefore how much energy we can shift this thing by, and therefore how much we could defend the planet if we needed to.
Well, I think that's something we may need to know one day, so that's good
right.
to hear, Brad. Now, good news on the local front. Virgin Orbit, which launches rockets from Boeing 747s, it's actually looking to start launching missions out of Toowoomba. Take us through it.
Yes, there's been a major space conference that's just finished in Paris. And one of the announcements out of that is that Virgin Orbit, as you said, which is quite of a unique thing, they retrofit their Boeing 747s to launch a rocket. And this actually saves quite a lot of energy. Just by going 8 to 10 kilometers at the height, you limit a lot of the fuel and energy needed for that rocket to get off the surface, and it makes it very efficient. And the airplane can actually fly around a bit and fly out of, for instance, weather issues if they need, something we were just talking about with Artemis. So it's a really big concept, and they've had a lot of successful launches in the US. And now they're looking at to deploy in the Southern Hemisphere, and they've chosen Toowoomba as that site. So they're looking for a test launch in 2024, which would mean that they would bring the Boeing 747, the satellites that go on the rocket and the rocket down, leave from the airport, go towards the ocean, launch over the ocean to it. So it just shows how big now space is becoming in Australia, with all of these companies now coming down here to operate from. So it's a really exciting time to just see how quickly this is all evolving.
Well, it is, and I was going to ask you, how significant is this for Australia? There's been a number of local developments in the space world, and now this. So what does it mean for the country in the space world?
Yeah, look, it's, we have, as you said, all of these homegrown companies. Gilmore Technologies, also in Queensland, is getting ready for a rocket launch. We have Southern Launch Alliance launching rockets for people in South Australia. We've also had those first rocket launches in the Northern Territory with Equatorial Launch Australia, with NASA. So it's just showing that this is the place to be. And so the more companies that come in, because this is essentially just investment from overseas, they're paying groups in Australia to operate, run, manage, handle. So this is investment purely in the truest sense from overseas in a big way. This then develops the capability in Australia to support more missions and also then support our infrastructure. So it allows for easier, cheaper rides for our equipment into space as well. You don't have to ship it overseas. You can do it from Australia. And with more and more companies wanting to do this, it just shows that we are quickly becoming the place to be. And in fact, the major space conference, this was announced, has been announced that it's going to be hosted in Sydney in 2025, just because of how big it's becoming in Australia.
That's terrific news, and hopefully more will come to Australia. It's really, really good for our industry here. Just finally, Brad, the highest amount of organic material on Mars has been found. What has actually been discovered here?
So Mars Perseverance, which is the latest and newest rover on Mars, has been searching for signs of life. And when we say signs of life, it's not just, thinking of fossils, but or what we say in this case, organic material, the ingredients for life. And it's landed in a place that we think has had lots of water, this crater, which we think used to be essentially a giant lake. And by finding this one rock in particular that has lots of organic material, it just is that another step into showing this was probably a place that was rich in life at one point. And this is where it wants to look. It wants to clearly find that evidence for life. And so you have to build up, you have to work step by step to show that there indeed was life there. So that's that next step in that puzzle. So we're slowly inching towards that ultimate answer, and that is, was there life on Mars? And I definitely think we'll find that answer at some point. It's just a matter of time.
It's that lifelong question. Is there life on Mars? Hopefully we might know soon. Brad Tucker, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Take care.